Hey yogis, my name is Kat. Thanks for joining me for another yoga practice. In this practice we are honouring the Sturgeon full moon. The Sturgeon moon is a time of abundance and we are enjoying the pleasures of the summer season while taking time to reflect on the cycles in nature. We begin to feel some of the heat dissipate as we start to yearn for the rest that comes as we move into autumn. Just as the ancient sturgeon fish begins to surface with wisdom, we start to notice some of the more reflective or hidden parts of ourselves being brought to the surface at the end of the summer. This full moon is held in the sign of Aquarius, and this means that we may be even more open and receptive to the changes that we begin to feel internally as we seek to embrace change in a way that feels right to us. Today's practice will work on creating a connection towards our intuition and our deeper layers of wisdom. Now may not be a time of action, but more of one of sitting in pleasure and abundance while still keeping an eye open for the changes ahead. If you have a couple of yoga blocks, they'll be really useful during this practice, but if you don't have them, don't worry about it too much. We can always find some modifications. And if you wanted to bring along any crystals, you could bring along moonstone, amethyst, or sodalite. If you wanted to bring along any essential oils, you could bring along lavender, ylang ylang, or anything really that helps you to relax. When you're ready, let's begin. Hi everyone, welcome to your yoga practice to celebrate the Sturgeon full moon. So we're actually going to start with a breathing practice to help connect a little bit deeper to more that moon energy, that intuitive energy, that slightly more emotional energy, and to start really feeling that inner wisdom beginning to rise to the surface. So we're actually going to start with Chandra Badana Pranayama, which is a nasal breathing practice in which we look to increase the intensity of the moon energy by breathing in through the left nostril, and then we let go of some of that heat, that sun energy, by exhaling through the right. So we breathe in through the left and exhale through the right. So you're going to take your right hand, take your index and middle finger towards the root of your thumb, or alternatively you could place them on your third eye center if that feels comfortable for you. And you're going to use your thumb to close off one nostril, and you're going to use your ring finger to close off the opposite nostril. And what we're going to do is we're going to close off the right nostril as we inhale through the left. And then we can hold it at the top for just a moment, and then as you exhale, we're going to release it through the right side. And then just hold for a moment. So we're just going to keep going in this way. We're going to do about 5 rounds. So when you're ready, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, breathing out, 2, 3, 4, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, breathing out, 2, 3, 4, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, breathing out, 2, 3, 4, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, breathing out, 2, 3, 4. And then just release your hands, relax your gaze or keep the eyes closed as you take full breathing through both nostrils. The left nostril is the power of the moon side of the body. The Ida Nadi, which runs up through the left side of the body. And the alternate is true, we also have the solar side of the body on the right side, through the Pingala Nadi, which leads towards the right nostril. So when we breathe in that moon energy and breathe out that sun energy, it leaves us feeling a little bit cooler and a little bit more intuitive. So we're just going to take some neck stretches here. So you could do this from a seated position, a kneeling position. And again, a little bit more intuitive. We're just going to start by dropping the right ear down to the right shoulder. Left shoulder soft. You could always tent your fingertips or press the palms down to the floor. Chin towards your right shoulder. And then like you're tracing a line on your collarbone with your chin, just gently bring yourself through center and just gently shake your head from side to side or trace that line with your chin. And then from here, bring your left ear to your left shoulder. Palms could stay flat or just tent those fingers. And then chin towards your left shoulder. And then bring your chin to your collarbone. A little bit side to side, really opening up through the back of the throat. Breathing deep. And then from here, bring your head back to neutral. And then lift your gaze up. So we find that expansion through the front of the throat. Your shoulder blades are soft. You could even start to tent your fingers behind you if that helps to create a little lift through the chest. And then bring yourself back through center. And from here, we're going to make our way into a child's pose. So you could roll over your shins, bring yourself onto your knees. And rest your forehead down to something. So maybe that's the earth, maybe that's the block, your yoga mat, or you could bring your forehead to your hands. And just start to notice how you feel. Like any muscle, we practice strengthening. So too is our intuition. For us to gain interconnectedness, that inner sense of wisdom, we must connect deeply with our intuition on a regular basis. And then from here, you're going to bring yourself forwards and you're going to come into a heart melting pose. So hips are over your knees. Tops of the feet flat as you walk your hands towards the front edge of your yoga mat. Forehead, chin, or even your chest down towards the floor or towards the mat. Breathing. And you could even tent your fingers to add a little bit more intensity. Starting to feel this release through the upper back. Bringing that awareness again to that third eye center, perhaps a little bit more of an intuitive practice. Now bring the palms of the hands flat. If you have any shoulder pain, come back out. Otherwise, strong through the left hand as you slide your right arm underneath your left and move into this variation of twisted heart melting posture. Push through the left hand to bring your right arm forwards and exhale down. And then cross your left arm underneath your right. Bring your left arm forwards and melt back to heart melting pose. Now, if you have any spinal sensitivity, I'm going to recommend you come through tabletop. Otherwise, you could drop your forearms and bring your chest, your heart through as you begin to drop your hips down, and just lengthen the tailbone towards the backs of the heels as you straighten your legs into Sphinx pose. And from here, we're just going to take a nice lift through the rib cage, lengthening the spine. And we're going to bend the right knee, and you could just hold for this position, or bring your left forearm towards parallel now to the short edge of your mat with your elbow under your shoulder as you reach your right hand for your inner right foot, your right ankle. And you could draw that heel in or wrap the tops of the fingers around the foot. Gaze forward or gaze back, but don't let that left shoulder hunch up by the ear. Straighten through the right leg. If you need a little break, take one. Otherwise, switching sides, bend your left knee, bring your right forearm parallel now to the front edge of your mat. And if you ever get cramp, just do this without the hands. Otherwise, maybe draw that heel in, Maybe wrap the top of the fingers round towards the front of the foot. Keep your chin, your chest, your heart lifted. Breathe deep. And straight into your left leg. Give yourself a rest just for a moment. Relax your head down towards your hands, towards a pillow. And then we'll come back through Sphinx pose. Elbows under shoulders, forearms parallel to the long edges of your mat. Or for variation of seal pose, you could take it a little bit deeper this time. Make sure there's no pressure in your lower back as you bring your forearms now a slight diagonal, so it's like you're reaching for the front corners of your yoga mat. As you begin to lift your forearms, and don't lose that height in the rib cage. Keep your rib cage lifting, and maybe your gaze lifts a tiny bit higher, but your low back is soft, your glutes are soft. For another inhalation. And then as you exhale, gently bring yourself down. Just slide your hands back so they're under the shoulders, and then lift your hips up and back into child's pose. And you may prefer an embryo pose this time, bringing your hands alongside your body, or you could even interlace one hand around the opposite wrist and then just place them on your sacrum, allowing your back line to fully soften. And then gently rise up. Now, if this position in hero's pose is already intense for you, sitting your hips to your heels, I would recommend placing a block between your heels, or maybe 2 blocks, so you can sit up on that block. You could also do this with a pillow, just enough to reduce the angle through the knees so it feels like a little bit less pressure. If it feels good here, widen your heels enough that you can place your hips in between your heels. Really important, we don't want any pressure in the knees as we take this position. You want your toes facing back behind you. Okay, if they're twisting to the side, that means that the knee is twisting, so make sure the tops of the feet are flat. From there, you could bring your hands down to your sacrum, towards your soles of your feet, excuse me. And then if this feels good, you could even come down onto your forearms. Now there's a couple of options here. For more of a back bend, you could keep the forearms pressing into the earth as you bring the crown of the head back into a variation of fish pose. Or, if there's space, you could come down onto your shoulders, creating a little bit more sensation through the fronts of the hips as you take opposite hand to wrist or opposite hand to elbow over your head. And this is a pretty deep pose. We want to make sure we're not feeling any pain through the knees and no pain through the lower back. If you're feeling it through the lower back, draw your tailbone towards the backs of the knees. If you're feeling it in your knees, lift your hips enough that you start to feel that pressure alleviate. We'll just take another full breath. Exhale fully. Then bring your hands back to the soles of the feet if they weren't already. Prop up onto your forearms one at a time, and then prop back up onto your hands. And then really important, you want to use the hands to help you. Shift your hips off to the side so you can straighten your legs out in front. And we're going to take a seated forward fold. Now this is less about hamstring stretching, it's less about getting the chin to the shin or the hands to the feet. So you might want to bend your knees. You could even use a block underneath the backs of the knees for a bit more support if you'd like. As you rest your head down, feel the back line of the body open. Feel your legs soften, maybe even a little bit of circulation working its way back to your feet. Then very gently roll up the spine, and we're going to make our way into a fish pose. Now if you have blocks, it's going to be really nice for a supported fish pose, and what you'll do is you'll place one block lengthways and the second block widthways. So they're both on the medium height setting, like you're creating a capital T shape with your blocks. Now if you have a sensitive neck, I maybe recommend the second block actually goes on the higher setting, or if you want a bit more extension through your cervical spine, you could put it on the lower setting. I'm going to do it on the lower setting, but you pick which works for you. And then from there, it's a little bit of
Shimmying, use your hands behind your back with your legs out straight to adjust the first block to the space in between the shoulder blades. Once this feels good, you reach your arms overhead. See if you can find the second block and place it either underneath the back of the head or the crown of the head, depending on the position of the block. And then once you feel stable here, release your arms alongside your body. If you don't have blocks, it's exactly the same, except you use your forearms to lift yourself up. Okay, it's a little bit more work. And so maybe you don't want to hold it for so long. And if none of that works, just come to lay down in Shavasana. Feel the openings through the throat, through the heart space. Continue to feel supported here, utilizing our props, utilizing our blocks as we surrender to the earth, to the softening of this pose. Now, if you're on your forearms or this posture is not particularly comfortable to you, you're going to exhale, bring your chin to your collarbone, lift your head, lift your chest up, release your blocks, and then lay back down into Shavasana. Otherwise, you're going to stay here for a bit longer. I encourage you to maybe stay here in your rest. Maybe you want to finish your practice with a seated meditation or a laying down meditation, and if that works for you, brilliant. If supported fish feels comfortable, maybe stay here, just letting your heart open, letting the throat and the third eye space all open to create this space for wisdom to rise up. We remember that our intention is to feel the pleasure, feel the comfort, feel the abundance in the world at this time of the year where everything has come into fruition. All of the fruits of our labor have taken shape, and all of our goals are starting to work in alignment with ourselves. But at the same time, we're feeling that gentle rising, like the sturgeon, the ancient wisdom of the sturgeon rising to the surface as we begin to be called into the slightly cooler season, into autumn, where our intuition is naturally heightened. So maybe for today it's just a peek into that door to see what rises up, but over the next few weeks, over the next few months, you may start to feel that intuition building a little bit deeper. So take time after your practice today to reflect on what you feel rise during this moon cycle, and whatever you're doing or however you're spending this full moon, I wish you all the best. Namaste.